Join the army of the shadows. Join the army of the shadows. Going harder. We are more than numbers. Standing in their shade. Going louder. We are all one color. Standing in their way. I thought we had it all. This is our story. It's written on the wall of what you did, what I did, meant more than a letter to each other. Gonna wipe out what's on my mind. It's been a while since I could hold my head up high. Now I know I can't take it anymore. 'Cause I'm feeling that I'm lost inside, trying to get over you.
Alright guys, so as you guys saw, I got the engine out. Now we're gonna be taking it apart, tear everything down, and see how good it looks, see what we're working with, and see the condition. I was able to peek inside the cylinder walls from the valve a little bit, and it looks very new to me. Like, it doesn't look worn out. There's no scratches as far as I could see, but I only was able to see one cylinder wall. So that one glance I was able to get, everything looked nice and neat, and the honing of the cylinder wall looked like it was intact still, which was, which I was very impressed to see. So now let's see what the cylinder had out and see, what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna be doing pistons. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna be doing forged rods yet. These rods and this motor, they're forged already, so I don't know if I'm gonna be pushing over 700 horsepower to the wheel. Probably not. So if I'm not gonna go over 700 horsepower to the wheel, I'll be okay with these rods. But since I'm already here, I kind of want to save the labor and replace them already. So this is something I haven't decided yet, but we'll take this thing apart. I'll show you guys, I'll guide you guys through, and we'll look through it. This thing has 131,000 miles, and I'm curious to see what wears he has. I want to check the rod bearings as well, because it's a very known problem with these cars. I guess BMW back then had a problem with the clearance of the bearings. It was only the earlier models, like the very first few BMWs, that came out with this problem, and then they upgraded the rods. They had a recall back then to replace the rod bearings. I believe the clearance was different than the original ones that were giving problems. So now let's get to taking this thing apart. I gotta take out the headers. I'm gonna be heating it up because I want to save the studs. I don't want a broken stud in there and eating up my time, and just I don't want to be stuck taking a broken stud out. So I'm just gonna heat everything up, take my time taking it out without breaking anything, without damaging anything. So let's get to it. Let's start taking this thing apart. So let's see what we find inside this 131,000 miles S54 motor.
To let go. I still wish you the best for tomorrow, of what you felt. hold my head up high. Now I know I can't take it anymore, 'cause I'm feeling that I'm lost inside, trying to get over you.
So as you guys saw, I took the valve cover and the Vanos unit out. Right now I'm going to be taking the cylinder head out. But before we do that, I highly advise you guys, if you're taking an engine apart or whatever else that you're taking apart, let's say you're doing an oil pan or whatever you're doing, you want to clean before you actually take it apart. The valve cover was very clean, so was the Vanos unit, but it is a good idea to clean once everything's still in place and the engine's still sealed. And once you clean, nothing is going to go inside the engine, especially when you're doing a rebuild like this, because you're taking bearing caps off. Any dirt, little dirt or debris that goes in between is going to cause it to scratch, and you don't want that. So right now, I'm just going to take all the components out. I'm going to clean the engine. I'm going to just leave the bare block with the cylinder head. And then I'm going to clean everything. All this debris that you guys see here, I'm just going to clean everything. And you want to clean downwards, right? Like, and you want to blow it away, like towards the ground, so everything falls off the engine. So this way, when you open, nothing's going to be inside. I usually do the same thing when I'm doing like intake manifold. If I'm taking an intake manifold out, I usually clean it all off. I blow it out because I don't want anything falling inside the engine. Same thing with oil filter housing gaskets, with oil pan, valve cover. Especially when it gets super, super dirty, you want to clean that stuff out before you actually take it apart. It's a good example is the valve cover, right? If you're doing a valve cover, not only on the S54, any car, I'm talking about any car. Once you take it out, all that gunk that's going to be, accumulated on the side of the valve cover, once you take it out and you go to clean, you could potentially have all those debris fall inside the engine. And I've seen at the dealer many times, many people doing valve covers, and they take the valve cover out first and then clean. After everything's done, they'll have Vanos fault because all those debris is going to end up in the Vanos solenoids and it's going to clog everything up. So keep that in mind. Clean everything before you actually take it apart. Another thing that I like cleaning, oil pan. If I'm doing an oil pan gasket, oil pan gets really dirty when it's leaking. So underneath the car, you don't want to work you want a clean environment. So I like to clean the car before I even touch anything. I usually take the splash panels down and I clean everything as much as I can, right? I clean everything. So this way I'm working cleaner and I'm not making a mess for once I have the engine exposed and open, right? Once everything's open, you don't want a mess. You want it to be as clean as possible. So clean before you actually take stuff apart, right? And then once you have it apart, it's easier for you to just touch the spots that you missed once you have everything out. All right, so let's start taking this components out. Let's start cleaning out the engine and let's take the cylinder head out and see what we find inside of it.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying out its prayer. Why are we so ashamed to be alive? Break the chains and our freedom's ours to take. light when the world is getting darker. I have a dream where love's the only side. So take my hand, join the army of the shadows. Going harder, we are more than numbers, standing in the shade. Going